Hello, everyone. I'm Shikhar. I'm the co founder at Cyber Unbound. And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Umang, who is currently a threat intelligence intern at FourCore. Umang, it's a pleasure to have you here at Cyber Unbound podcast. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you.
So, Umang, could you just tell us how did you actually get interested within threat intelligence and what makes this field very unique?
So basically, saying about threat intel, uh, I have been doing offensive security since I started in this domain. So while doing offensive security, I was trying to search for jobs, basically for penetration testing roles or any red teaming roles. And as we all know that the job market for cybersecurity engineers who are still in college is very tough. So I applied at FourCore, not knowing the role actually. I was not knowing the role that it was a threat intel role. And after a bunch of interview, like I gave 3 interviews and two uh, some home tasks they gave me. After that, I got in threat intel as an intern. So as such, I don't like had an interest in threat intel, but while working as a threat intel intern, I gained so much insight because I used to think that security either it's defensive, offensive. I like offensive, and that's the thing. But while I am currently working as a threat intel analyst, I am currently getting to know how the cyber like threats happen, the how APT groups attack organizations. So I just got to know these new things being a threat intel analyst.
Got it. And you mentioned that you had done a lot of interviews for threat intel, and then you finally got the threat intelligence internship.
Yeah, it was 3 rounds of interview they took.
Got it. So how did you first got to know about FourCore and how did you apply to FourCore? Was it through online, through your college? And what is
Yeah,
FourCore actually? Could you also just if
yeah,
just
sure.
tell that?
So first, let me tell you about what is FourCore. So
Yes.
FourCore is a threat simulation based company. Like we simulate threats, what is there in the wild. So Chinese organization for say APT40 is a Chinese organization. I was last working on that project itself. So APT40 did something in Malaysia. So what we try to do, we depict the same methodologies, same techniques, IOCs, everything, and make it uh, a simulation based attack on companies. So a company can test their security. That's what FourCode does. We gather many intels and replicate it. Basically, we are building, in short, we can say a tool for blue teamers.
Got
So,
it.
and now coming to that, how did I get into FourCode? I was actively applying, like I got it from a cold mail in FourCode. And any other internship that I have did earlier before this, I got using cold mail. I texted him. I first mailed him, then I texted him on LinkedIn, and then by seeing my resume, then we had a like on the spot interview call, like on the call interview. Then they gave me some home tasks for a month around, and then at the end we had two more interviews with a complete panel.
Got it. Got it. So do you formally hold any certifications like OSCP or OSTH?
Not yet. Yet I'm working for BSCP right now. It's Verb Suite Professional Practitioner.
Got it. So you might have seen that a lot of job descriptions out in cybersecurity, especially for threat intelligence, they require you to have OSCP as a certificate. And because you do not have it, did you face any kind of problems or any kind of disadvantage during interview round?
Not as such, because I would say that these startups, mid-level startups like I'm working in, they purely see what you bring to the company while having a thorough interviews. Yeah, certification is a very big add-on. That's why I'm also preparing for certifications. But they like in applying in startups, they will have a thorough interview that they will get to know what you are bringing to their panel.
So, for a person who's applying for threat intelligence jobs, what skills they must have, or what was actually required from you when you were applying to this internship? During the interview, what was the expectation?
During the interview, they expected is let me start from the very beginning how it went. So after seeing my resume, there were a few projects I made. Uh, the project that made me get this job was I made a setup on a VMware of a blue team versus red team. The project was like that. So I set up a full Active Directory, everything, and then I was attacking it myself by creating then a report. It was completely on cloud. So that made them think, have an interview. Then I already told you, after that we had a call, then got an interview. So, but if you want to be in threat intel line, you should mainly focus on like understand how to gather stuffs like gather IOCs, MITRE attack techniques, that a tool technique procedure, what are the TTPs. So we have to know these things. And one more thing, like I faced a issue, like you have to be very like you should have a very solid foundation in Windows, not just operating Windows. You have to know how the Windows is internally working. As we are creating attacks by reading the threat intel, we have to understand very minute details. We have to see which process is getting the DLL, or how we have to hijack a process. So so for me the hardest part was I had prior experience in Linux, and I like majority of the time I used Linux, but that Windows I had to understand. It was a bit difficult when you are getting in the core part of Windows, like how processes are elevated, what is non-elevated, elevated system, multiple things come in Windows. So I would suggest if someone is willing to apply for threat intel, they must have a solid foundation of operating systems to like understand, because I'm saying about my job role, and then how MITRE techniques work, what are IOCs, understand how to gather the IOCs, where to find them. And one more plus point after joining the company, I started reading a lot of threat intels. So if you're trying to apply for a threat intel job, you should a bit read threat intel reports so that you are familiar of how the APT groups are attacking the organizations. Basically, you have to at the end make that.
Right. So I think you had mentioned that certifications aren't important to enter to the field of cybersecurity, especially for internships. And there are ways, for example, you mentioned about your project where people can demonstrate their skills within cybersecurity or threat intelligence to get an internship position. Now, according to you, what would be a concise, best cost-effective roadmap to actually get an internship in threat intelligence without any advanced certifications like OSCP? What would be a proper roadmap for it?
So, as in general, I'm saying about security, it's saying to get a job role in cybersecurity. So, basically, you have to clear your basics. Basics in the sense, I mean, say networks, using of operating systems like Linux and Windows. See, in the job market, in the market, maximum systems are Windows. We have to understand Windows very thoroughly, how Windows is working. Then you have to first understand some basic tools. And just for me, it was always like building projects. While I learn, I build a project. Even if I'm learning Go, I start building projects on offensive Go so I can make tools on Go. Same I did for Python. We don't require very good coding knowledge, but it is very like add-on if you have a just even one language if you know you like it's an add-on. Then you have to like practice and practice on platforms. There are platform hack the box and try hack me platforms are there. And I would suggest the only best method to learn is making projects.
So, what kind of projects should people do within threat intelligence? I think you had mentioned one which you did. If I chat GPT right now, I would get like 1,000 different projects which I should do. Now, what kind of projects does actually impress recruiters, according to you? Is it like the popular ones or something which is in real time? Could you just give us examples so a college student who is watching us could probably get started to it?
Projects as such, I made multiple projects, but not specific to threat intel. I made projects like keyloggers, advanced keyloggers. One project that got me another internship prior to this was a C2 server. I made a C2 server from scratch using Python. So a complete framework. We should work like if someone is trying to start, as you mentioned. So I would suggest they should start building uh, tools for their own use cases first. Like there are prior tools like Nmap is there, but if a guy makes a project which is binding up all the different tools together, like as we have as you me solve try hack me or hack the box rooms, a few things are monotonous like nmap we have to scan, then we have to uh, give a directory enumeration, then subdomain enumeration. I i always like tell my juniors to first build a workspace for yourself that can simulate everything by just giving we get an IP address or uh, yeah, we get an IP address from try hack me or hack the box. Yeah. So just by entering the IP address, we can start the process starts automatically. You don't have to manually do everything. So this is should be your first project if you have started learning. Then the second projects are like start building tools like keylogger or exploits, malwares. These are very important. Uh, do think code in such a way that the code should not be like 100% absolutely correct with all the DSA things. No, not like that. It should work. And I would suggest one more project like build your own boxes. This is very important. Boxes in the sense I'm trying to say vulnerable boxes. I'm saying rooms. While I was building, I was learning to build vulnerable machines for Hub to upload it on. I learned massive amount of things from that. How our like system get hacked or how to make a machine vulnerable, because to attack you need to know how they are making it. So yeah, this is one of the projects I have not many of them speak. You should start making your own rooms a bit.
I think,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
So I
sure.
think so. I think you mentioned that making vulnerable boxes is a very good idea. For example, CTF making, right?
Yeah,
In a sense, so people can, for example, start making CTFs for their own college tournaments, probably, right? So at
absolutely.
Cyber Unbound, we actually have a vetting platform where students come on a platform and they can vet themselves free of cost by solving different CTF challenges. Now, of course, our team is full of college students, current college students, and even we develop a lot of CTF challenges. Now, I've interacted in past with students who have done OSCP before, but did not really have the necessary skills to actually make CTF challenges. So if someone wants to become, let's say, a CTF machine engineer, or wants to develop blue teaming challenges, something like Sherlock on Hack the Box,
Yeah.
or red teaming boxes, how can they start? Because I don't think there is any course on how to make CTFs. So how can they really get started on making CTF challenges?
So to get started on making, first start with simple challenges like give it a shot, making a vulnerable probably file upload. That's the easiest, I guess. You just need to know a bit of PHP. I used PHP while I made this, and start with simple things. While you get inside making complex boxes or complex rooms, you have to just join the number of simple things that you have learned together. That's all. It's not that tough. Thinking about making a box seems very overwhelming. I felt the same. But when you start with it, you join like it's like a puzzle. You fit pieces, and it starts developing.
Now, coming to our next question. So you were mentioning about how to actually get started with CTF making and how people can make and get started with vulnerable box making. You had also explained that when you had, I mean, actually applied to FourCore, you had done it via cold emailing. Were there any other strategies or X factor which made you stand out or probably helped you get that foot in the door?
Projects, trust me, it has
Okay,
always been projects. The more relevant projects you start making, real life projects, you will stand out of the crowd.
got it. So, if someone wants to get started on cold emailing, they'll have to first figure out who to cold email. So, did you cold email to the founder or to the recruiter, or who exactly did you actually cold email? That's the first part. And how can someone actually figure out who to email or who to cold email? And what should they write in their email so it does not look like a cold email?
Okay. So I like how I started with cold email. I generally message the CEOs who are the founder members of the company and the HRs. These are my prime target to message. What I do personally while I apply for a new company or a new job, what I do is first, like, as I'm currently targeting the startups in my area or in other cities like Bangalore, Gurgaon, Pune, and all, I go to LinkedIn. I filter them out by their company size and area, and that gives me a list of startups as 15 to 100 member wale companies has to be a startup. So they give me a less list, and all are cybersecurity startups. Now, what I do, I go see the people and text them on LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn premium, it's a drawback. But yeah, if you have, many HR have open DMs. You can text them, and then I go to their website and I choose the career. If the careers page is not there, because many startups don't have a career page, early startups, not I'm not talking about the middle age startup, early startups don't have a career page. So uh, sometimes I mail to that connect at the rate that whatever the company is, or something like they have some queries wala mail, so I mail it to them, and if you're lucky enough, they will connect you with the HR. And this is the main process I do. I have done 2 internships, and I have did it via cold emailing. And
So, what exactly do you write in these cold emails? Is it like asking directly for the job, or what exactly do you write?
I directly ask for internship opportunity and sending my resume. I like uh, Just a minute. What I like a proper heading with like by just looking at the heading, the recruiter or the member, the person who is reading should understand what is this email about. No one has time to read, go through my mail. We all know that. Everyone are like has so many mails incoming, so many like people are cold mailing. They don't have a proper time to read the complete mail. Even if I write many things in my mail, you should keep your subject, which is the headline of your mail, up to the mark. Like just reading the headline, uh, you can understand what is there. So for me, my subject always stays like enthusiastic, like starting with these kind of words, enthusiastic offensive security person seeking internship in whatever the role is. This is the way I start, and then I highlight whatever I have, like the skills I have, in the first para, and then I give my personal detail where I'm studying, because obviously if like that is less important for me. I guess I think it's my POV. For me, I think I have to first let the other person know what my skills are, what I'm trying to bring. Then, if he is interested, then obviously he'll click on my resume and get to know who am I, what I'm studying, where I'm studying. So,
Got it. So just changing the route of the discussion now. What's your actual day-to-day work like at FourCore? What's your internship project? And if you can share any memorable memories, if you have made any kind of mentorship you have received or friendships you have formed, if you can just shed some light on that.
yeah, like if saying day-to-day life, I actually it's work from home for me because yet in my seventh semester, so it's work from home. So basically, I have to log in. I log in my system around 9:30, 10 approximately. Check my mails if there is any update. We have conversation on Slack, so check my Slack as well. Then start with my work. Basically, my work in currently I create attacks. As I already mentioned, what we do, I read a threat intel, I start creating the attacks for it, so that the companies which we are working with can simulate it on their work. So I create attack, then we have a meeting, evening meeting, what is done. Uh, that's all. It's a very peaceful work culture over here. The only thing they want is you have to finish your work in time. If there is some work given, you have to keep it to the table before the time or on the time. Late being delivering something late hampers theirs and mine both impressions. There as a company, mine as a intern. So like providing things in time is the factor. Else the work life is very peaceful. People are absolutely fantastic over here.
Got it. And just to understand the culture better, because FourCore is a startup, right? I'm just
Yeah,
trying to understand how much connection there is between the leadership team and the interns, because interns are at the bottommost of the company hierarchy. And the leadership team, I've heard of the founder, Mr. Aarush Ahuja, right?
yeah,
I've never met him, but I want to meet him because I've heard a lot of positive things about him. Why? Because he's a very young entrepreneur with a very innovative mindset. FourCore as a company moves really fast with all the innovation, all the kind of products they have. So, did you get any chance to interact with Mr. Aarush Ahuja? Did you get any chance to interact with the other co-founders? What was the interaction like if you had any meetings? And did you, I mean, sort of get that personal mentorship with them?
frankly speaking, I work with them only. So I have everyday meeting with Swapnil, Aarush, and Hardik. They three are the founding member of the company, and I work with them very closely. Uh, with Swapnil, he is the co-founder as well. I like I work very close with him because I make attacks, he verifies it, and then we simulate. Like every like I have every on every Monday I have conversation with Hardik for like a complete team meet, and every day I have to talk to Swapnil and Aarush for some sort of help, and they are very helpful. Like if I don't understand something, because what they are trying to build is very technical and it's very like sophisticated. It's hard to understand for a newly joined person. They never made me feel like you have to rush through things. Swapnil himself like mentored me in the beginning days while I joined. Like for a 2 week, he literally came on a huddle. Huddle is on Slack meeting basically. Huddle is a Slack meeting. He used to come on like huddles and for hours, like 1.5 hours, 30 minutes, he used to listen to me first what my problem is, then he used to solve it and told me better ways to solve things. So yeah, I have worked very closely with them. I still work very closely.
I think that's the main advantage of actually, interning at a startup. Why?
Yeah,
Because what I've seen is that most of my friends who are right now working for like big corporations, right, Microsoft or some other big corporation, what happens is that when you're working as an intern over there, you're working with a manager, right? And that
yeah,
manager, you have to report to him or her, or you have to basically get your task done. But I think the most beneficial part of working in a startup environment is that you get a chance to work with the founder himself. So you try to understand the vision of the company. You get that flavor of working with diverse people just to understand what the energy actually is, right? Recently, I had Anmol on my podcast. He was the safe security intern. So even he was explaining us that how he got a chance to work with the founders really closely. So was most of your work with the founders, or did you had a manager in between who used to manage your
no, no. My most of the works are with founders, especially
work? Got
Swapnil.
it. Got it. And what's your thoughts on networking? So you explained that you got this internship through cold emailing, right? For example, I got my DRDO internship via networking. I went to a conference and I met the scientist and the chief in that particular conference. Now, have you been to conferences before besides Ahmedabad or DSEI conferences? What's your thought? Should students attend these conferences? How can they introduce themselves to, let's say, a CISO or a co-founder? What should they talk about? How to start that conversation?
Okay. Yeah, I go to events like besides Bangalore or Nalcon, Goa. This time Nalcon is not happening in Goa, I guess it's happening in Pune. So yeah, if you are a security enthusiast, I would say yeah, definitely go. That networking is very important. Without networking, finding job, any sort of job, not just cybersecurity, networking is like mandatory. If you like know good people who can actually help you, it boosts up your career a bit. In the initial phases to get a job, then it's on you how you perform. So yeah, going to conferences is very important. Actively talking or like actively participating in conversations, like I'm talking about security conversations, is also important. Like joining security groups, uh, even joining like Discord channels. You can find jobs over there as well sometimes. So yeah, participating in conferences like actively is very important from my view.
And let's assume that you're meeting a CISO. How would you introduce yourself, or how would you start that conversation with a founder or a CISO who might be at age 40 or 45, and you're like a 22-year-old
Yeah.
student?
So with a warm greeting, I would start. Like the first, I would tell about myself and what things I know, and then probably like I would not ask for a job or ask for opportunity, but yeah, I would like indirectly would have told him ki, so if you have any opportunities in your company, so please if can interview me as well. See, I have never had this interaction before.
Right. So, initially when I used to go to conferences, I used to think that, oh, what would the CISO think of me? What would I do if, something, if I would have said something wrong, right? I think a lot of students, they just overthink a lot for the first time when they're meeting someone big out in the industry. But what I've realized over time is that it's very easy to talk to such founders or industry professionals because even they want to share their mentorship with students like us, right? And what's your perspective that how can you actually remember in the eyes of a founder or a industry leader who you meet? So, for example, an industry leader would meet 100 different students, but how to make that impression on him that he remembers that, oh, this is Shikhar or this is Umang I met in a particular conference,
I guess the way you showcase yourself
right?
is very important. If you yourself are underconfident or not confident enough to speak, he will he has to meet hundreds of people as you mentioned. Obviously, he will forget. I would say you have to be very confident and very clear about what you are saying. Con- uh, Speaking very clearly, very confidently to the CISO or the founder, whoever they are. They also want talent in their company. They're also hunting for better people. So if they see the confidence in us, so it might help them to remember us, I guess.
Right. I think, and also in addition to being confident, so one thing which I really do is that I usually share my business card. So I know that it seems very cliche as a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old having business cards, but I think it just helps if you have a business card because once you offer a card to someone, even they tend to offer their card to you. So I think that just helps in making that impression that, oh, you're giving something physical to someone. So I think that is also something which could help. In your earlier answer, you had mentioned that there are a lot of different Discord channels or security groups which one can join. Could you share some example or some WhatsApp group names or some Discord group names which one could join to network with people?
So if it like I would say I got my first internship from Twitter. Like there was a random security guy posting like I have started a company. So I just texted him. At that time, it was not X, it was Twitter, and I just texted him that I am just starting as a like I'm having interest in offensive security, and can I join your company? He had 3 or 4 people, and their work was to do penetration testing, and I was in my extreme starting phase. Like I just had a bit knowledge about penetration testing. I knew the tools, techniques, but never did it on company. So I interned over there for like 3 months. After that, I backed off because of college pressure. So yeah, so you have to find a correct social media platform according to me. So first is Twitter. If you want to really network with cybersecurity people, I guess they the best place is Twitter. You can get a bunch of people that really they're sharing their knowledge. On sharing your knowledge, I would really say that while you are learning, it's my POV. It doesn't have to like it's not a compulsory thing to do. Like for me, it's like if I am learning, I will also teach. It will give 2 things. One, um, if someone is trying to hire me or something like that, I can say, sir, I have published these many posts or blog posts, or I do have a YouTube channel where I like mentor even 500 people. 500 people is a huge amount of people if seen in the bulk of numbers. So it gives an impression. And the second thing is, while you teach, the other person is also learning something new and you are also revising your concepts. So for me, like I am a cybersecurity lead in my college in society. So it's like for me, if I learn something new, I teach them and I also encourage them to post whatever you have learned. Or I prefer Medium as a platform. Many prefer LinkedIn, and but like Medium, by posting in Medium, I think it helps in some extra bucks as well. Like it's just 199 rupees a month subscription, and you can just, even if you're not a subscribed member, you can just post on Medium. I actively post on Medium and generate a few bucks from there. So it also helps like in networking as well. If in networking, how it helps, I might, if someone thinks like you have posted something on Medium and you just share it on say Twitter or Reddit in communities related to cybersecurity, people start approaching you, how you did this, how you did that. So this is how you like helps in like creating blog post, helps in networking.
And probably
So
that would also help them improve the soft skills which are needed
yeah,
for job site.
that's exactly soft skills. We can't miss on that.
Got it. Got it. So now we will start with the lightning round. What happens in a lightning round is that I'll ask you one line questions, and whatever comes first in your head, you just have to say that answer. Okay. So what's the one piece of advice you will give to someone just starting out in cybersecurity or threat intelligence?
Starting out in cybersecurity or threat, basics, clear your basics. It's very important because at the end you can search things online, but on the interview they don't ask you difficult things. They stick with basics, code basics.
So for basics, you would say that try hack me or hack the box, right?
So not necessarily try hack me hack the box is the best thing you can do, but I learned majorly by creating projects, as I also mentioned. For me, projects has always been my X factor. I search for ChatGPT, see what project should I make, or go on surfing web. There is a very good website, uh, Google Project Zero. So in that Project Zero, say Google researchers, security researchers post their research work. And what I do, I try to implement those things in small projects. So I gain a lot of insights, a lot of new technologies, what they are trying to build, what they are researching about. And I also created a mini project which enhances my portfolio. I can say that it's actively a part of Google research as well, and this is a project while speaking to someone.
Got
This
it.
is,
Got it.
and there are many project ideas in Reddit. Reddit is, I would say, again, the best place where you can solve your doubts. Best. I solve literally all my doubts on Reddit. Go to a relevant Reddit like channel over there and then post a comment. Ask NetSec. It's AskNetSec. Ask NetSec. They don't have any like boundaries. You have to be this many days Redditor, then you can post. There's no limitation. You can create an account, just hop in to this channel, subreddit, and post your doubt. And the replies are very quick. Trust me, all over the world, there in this channel, there is 210k people. So the replies are very fast in these communities. Yeah, surely Reddit is one of the places you can learn a lot.
Got it. My second question would be a red flag to look out for a threat intelligence job description.
Like if a job description doesn't have like the clarity of what you're going to do, because in threat intel job postings, as far as I've seen nowadays, there's a complete clarity on what set of tools you will be working with, what like what you will working with, like what are the like frameworks that you will work with, because all of these depend on frameworks, right? Like MITRE framework is there, NIST framework is there, NIST is there. You have to work with these tools. So if it's not mentioned and then they are saying it's a threat intel job, either it's a like not a very good job description they have given. So it's a red flag, I guess.
Okay. And what's your favorite part about working in threat intelligence?
Favorite part about working in threat intelligence is like being an offensive guy, like offensive security guy. Uh, while I read how these criminal organizations are attacking, like the blogs are so detailed, it's very fun reading these. Everyone, like even if you're in defensive side of the security, being it offensive side, irrelevant of your interest, everyone should read threat intel reports. Like how organization hacked in such a multi-million dollar company, irrelevant having the best securities according to them. Still, how did they find that small gap? You will find it on threat intel reports. That's the best part, I guess, for me, reading these
Got it.
articles.
And one soft skill you believe is crucial for success in cybersecurity?
I would say how you talk is very important. Like sometimes you just have to be confident. So that's the thing. One soft skill I will say that be like present yourself smartly and confidently. That's the most important thing.
Okay. A book, blog, or a podcast that every cybersecurity student should follow?
Well, I have read a lot of books, to be very honest. I am a book reader. So the best book I read was Ethical Hacking Bootcamp is a book. That's very nice. And few books like Black Hat Python, Black Hat Go, as I code in these two languages. So I'm saying these for these two. This these books are very good. Uh, Bug Bounty Bootcamp. This is a Bug Bounty Bootcamp and Real World Bug Bounties. These are the two books. If someone is interested in bug bounties, or even if someone is interested in how to like get the side of web application hacking, they can read these books. Very fine. And podcast, I don't listen to podcasts that much about cybersecurity, so I won't like. I haven't. David Bomber does podcasts. Very nice. You can listen to his podcast. I have learned a lot from their podcast. So David Bomber's podcast is there. Network Chuck started doing podcasts, but nowadays he's not doing podcasts anymore. There are few podcasts with Network Chuck. Uh, you can watch them. They are very good. And vlog. Vlog I told that Project Zero by Google. It's a fine, very excellent blogging platform by Google cybersecurity researchers. Medium, may I guess in Medium you can follow InfoSec write-ups. Very good blogging. Like it's in Medium and it's a community where only cybersecurity things are posted. So InfoSec write-up is very good. So you can join that as well.
Got it. And what are your thoughts about Cyber Unbound as a platform? So, have you checked Cyber Unbound's platform
Yeah,
before?
I have checked. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about a platform which is exclusive for cybersecurity talent acquisition, where students and security professionals come on a platform free of cost? They can vet themselves and get jobs free of cost of the platform. Do you think such a platform is beneficial for the community?
Extremely beneficial. What you are doing is exceptionally good thing. Like first you are like giving opportunities to people. Not many people get like a cold mailing. I would say is depends on two factors. Either your portfolio is very nice or you have a good luck. And if none of the thing is there and you want to start, I would say Cyber Unbound can fill that bridge with the recruiter and the like really willing to work or talented student. This helps
Sure.
a lot.
Because we are now have reached the end of the podcast, do you have any final thoughts or advices you would like to share with the audience?
So I would suggest people who are like will watch or listen to this podcast, like in cybersecurity, if you have chosen this domain, the first thing is like you can't stop learning. Every day the tech is changing, and you have to learn something new every day. Uh, Practice on Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, platforms like this. Actively participate in CTFs. It's very important, very crucial. Two of my friends got in a company called High Radius using their CTF. Then create projects. You thousands of project ideas are there, security related. Go build your projects. Don't just copy paste from ChatGPT. It's fine if we copy paste on ChatGPT. Corporate people are also doing. But if someone asks you about the project, you should be confident what you have done, and you should know what you're doing. So just don't make projects for the sake of making projects. Make projects because you will learn from that project something new. So like copy pasting from a GitHub repo is not something very fruitful for you. So that's the thing. And I something I love in security is that you can teach it very nicely to people. People and even people with no interest shows interest because hacking, how to hack. So teach, because the community, we have to build a community to have a good people in a community. You have to contribute, so actively contribute in the community. Speak a lot about what you have done on blogs or even start a YouTube channel. One thing I would suggest while studying about cybersecurity, or it becomes very boring. It's not like very like how it shows in movies. It's not like that. It's very, when you like in the beginning, it's very boring. So I would suggest post on platforms like Twitter, so you can generate connections from that. What you did today, what are your next tasks which you want to achieve by the end of this Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, like what are in 4 quarters there are in this year. A year has 4 quarters. Each quarter, what are your like what you're trying to achieve in, by the end of this year? Are you trying to do a certification? Like I post a lot on Twitter. So what I did was in the beginning of the year, in Jan, I made a list what I want to achieve in this year and posted it on Twitter. And then according to the task I assigned myself for the year, I post relevant things. Like there was a challenge for me. I took it myself. I will finish all the rooms of Trihackney, and today there are only like 30 or 40 rooms left of Trihackney, and I actively post out how I hacked into the machine and how I solved the room basically, and post it on Medium. You have to like showcase yourself. Actively showcasing yourself is very important.
Perfect. I think this is the end of the podcast, Umang. Thank you so much. I think it was lovely
Thanks
to
a
have a
lot.
conversation with you. I personally got to learn a lot of things from you. I got a lot of insights. And I think the audience watching us, especially those who are very interested in getting internship within threat intelligence, I think they got an opportunity today to learn a lot of things from your experience and insights. And I'm genuinely thankful for you to join this podcast.
I'm thankful to you.